You're watching Mick and T's Sports Report on CHCO-TV. And now, here's our American host who specializes in fake news, Joe T. from Connecticut.
I'm Joe Ticotsky down in New Haven, Connecticut, and this is the 45th episode of Mick and T's Sports Report. If you notice, the man that's usually on the right side of the screen, my co-host Evan, is not here as he's on assignment, finishing up his large stash of Halloween candy. Evan will rejoin us at the very end of this episode. We'll be skipping some of our regular features this time, so we have enough time for two very special interviews. Coming up after the break, we'll get going by interviewing one of the top 10 players in college basketball. You're watching Mick and T's Sports Report without Mick, here on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews. Welcome back to Mick and T's Sports Report on CHCO-TV. Evan is on assignment today, which basically means he's emptying out the beverage cart at the 14th hole at the Algonquin. So I will be doing the interview solo this time. Our first guest is by far the tallest one we've ever had on the show at 7 feet 4 inches. He's also the tallest player in Big Ten history and is a preseason first team All Big Ten selection and a second team preseason All-America pick in men's basketball. From the campus of Purdue University in lovely West Lafayette, Indiana, let's welcome in Toronto's own Zach Edey. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get going here. We did some background stuff. You grew up playing hockey and baseball and didn't really play competitive basketball till almost midway through high school. What made you all of a sudden take an interest in basketball?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. Obviously, I started playing baseball and hockey when I was younger. Kind of hockey's a sport that everyone plays in Canada. All my friends were playing it, so I was like, that's why I want to play. And then baseball was kind of just a sport that both my parents played. They were both really into, so I kind of picked it up off of them. I started playing baseball. I loved it throughout my childhood. But going into high school, my parents wanted me to pick one sport, and whether that was hockey or baseball was up to me. So I chose to keep going with baseball. So that's what I played in my 9th grade year. And then my shoulder started giving me a little problem. So I kind of like rethought, because I really wanted to be like a professional baseball player. So I had to like rethink a lot of things kind of about myself. And then I actually picked up basketball originally as like a cross training. My parents, they wanted me to play one sport, but they didn't realize how much free time that meant I would have.
Right.
So I started doing basketball in the winters, cross training for baseball. And then I started playing basketball. I really, really loved it. There was really no reason why I didn't play it before, other than like everyone kind of wanted me to play basketball, so I didn't want to play basketball.
Yeah. Now, when you went away to Florida, you went away to IMG Academy for the end of your high school. Was that tough going that far away from home before college even started?
Yeah, it was definitely a tough decision, especially for me. I moved out to America within a year of me picking up basketball, so it was a quick timetable. But yeah, I started playing. Once I started kind of getting offers for basketball, because that summer I played AAU my first year. I got a few offers from like Minnesota and some other places. I kind of knew that I was going to go to America for college. I wasn't going to stay in Canada. So I kind of figured might as well get like the first year jitters, the first year homesickness, get that out of the way like as quick as possible, and then also be able to attend a world-class facility like IMG. There can't be anything bad about that. So,
and the weather, I'm sure, didn't hurt.
Yeah, the weather was definitely nice. Besides the occasional rainstorm, Florida was beautiful.
Yeah. Now, this past summer, you made the Canadian national team and competed in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. How was it playing for your home country?
It was great. It's actually my second year kind of competing for my country. Last year or the year before that, I went to the U18 FIBA or whatever or U19 FIBAs we went to Latvia. We competed, or we picked up our country's second ever medal in that event.
Nice.
I met a lot of like the kind of young guys around Canada, because like they all kind of knew each other, but I didn't really know them. I didn't stay in Canada for long after I started playing basketball. So kind of getting to meet all them and know all them was cool. And then the following year, I went to Team Canada, or this Team Canada senior men's team, and that was a great experience too.
How was it playing for Nick Nurse was your coach, correct? The Raptors coach?
Yeah, he's a great guy, a very honest guy. He's a great coach. It's kind of interesting to see like the conflicting styles between him and like Coach Payne. So that was it.
Yeah.
On different things.
Now, do you find college just a lot more structured as opposed to what Coach Nurse did?
Yeah, I would say. I would say the NBA like defense is more structured, but the NBA offense is a lot more just kind of free flowing. Like um, you kind of just set a ball screen a lot of times. You roll the rim, or you space the dunker. You give other people as much space as possible when they have the ball. Whereas like especially in Purdue system, everyone knows we run a lot of plays every possession. So it's just like,
okay, yeah, it's an adjustment.
Yeah, so we'll like not rarely, but we'll run motion a lot less, whereas NBA is just purely motion.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I think they're too free flowing. Nothing ever seems to work for them. But getting back to the college scene, I'm going to hit you with a few Big Ten questions about your league. Who's your biggest league rival?
He's not a question. IU.
Indiana, you. You got to steal a pair of those white and red striped warm-up pants,
I don't even want them.
I'd
love to go red on our team.
Yeah, they're historic. Before you were in college, they were the team from way back. And I actually, small fact, I went to a UConn Indiana game about 15 years ago, and outside the men's room, I met the singer John Mellencamp there. But yeah, great play as Mackey is, great place to watch a game. Toughest away arena to play at in the Big Ten?
Probably just IU, just because the rivalry is so crazy. They have a massive stadium, and they like sell it out every time we play them.
Now, how far apart is Purdue to IU?
It's probably about 2 hours.
Okay. Now, which player in the league do you admire the most?
I wouldn't say it's obviously I have a lot of respect for a lot of the players in the league. They're great, talented individuals. There's a bunch of people I could say, but I'd say the person in the league I respect the most probably would be Coach Shrews at Penn State.
Okay.
He used to be a coach for us, an assistant coach. He's a great guy. We all knew he was going to do like really well, because he picked up the Penn State offer kind of like right before our March Madness tournament. We all knew he was going to go next year, and it's great what he's kind of done with that program so far. Just in his year of coaching, that's really playing them like from my freshman year compared to last year. They're just like a completely different team. And
I noticed on the schedule you're coming east to play them. You're playing them in Philadelphia this year.
I think we're playing them early, one of our first games.
Now, you've never been to the Palestra in Philly, have you?
No, we played in Happy Valley last year, not Wheaton.
Okay. You're gonna love it, because the Palestra, it's like a cathedral. It's like an old school. They've got like pictures in the hallway of all the players that have been. It's the neatest place to play a game. So I think you'll enjoy it. What's the best win you've had so far in your career at Purdue?
Probably like when we won in the finals against Villanova in the CHCO Cup. Probably my favorite one.
Okay, all right. Picking on the Big East schools, I see. And besides basketball, just say as a student, what other sport do you like to watch at Purdue on campus? Another team?
Football, obviously. It's
okay.
Fun. We watch. It's kind of like the one sport that I'll watch like every single game. I'll catch a few other teams here and there, but football it's kind of a culture thing. In Canada, no one really cares about football, but over here in America, it's like everyone's so invested and so interested. Like people plan their whole day around a football game, kind of like they do for basketball, I guess.
It is a community affair. All right, time for a little non-basketball question. Have you ever been? I know you said you've been to the Discount Den on campus. Have you ever had a den pop?
for sure. It's actually like a 2-minute walk from our place. So
Okay.
definitely,
And now,
yeah.
what's your favorite flavor of the Den Pop?
It's not really like flavors. It's like you get like a big cup and you gotta like mix them like a fountain drink.
Okay. Yeah, I looked online. There's one called the Cotton Candy Overdrive, which is red cream soda and blue Powerade. And this is the one I figured be the obvious one. The Big Man on Campus. Have you ever had that one?
No, I've only really had that Den Pop like probably 3 or 4 times, but it's good. Like this little dollar, you get a massive soda.
Okay. Yep. The Big Man on Campus for those that want to try it at home. Pink lemonade, Sprite, and raspberry iced tea.
Yeah,
So
sounds
who
good.
knows? I mean, they got to get one named after you at some point. Um, and I was looking online a couple of your stats. Last year, you shot 65% from the field, which is pretty impressive. Um, but the free throws, I saw they dipped a little bit from 71 to 65. Something you got that's something you could pick up because end the game situation. You don't want it to be like a hack a Zach situation where they're fun. You want to take advantage of it. On a more serious note for our viewers, we wanted to make sure we mentioned that through the Boilermaker Alliance, Zach has a few name, image, and likeness deals. One is with the National Organization Protecting and Advancing the Rights and Interests of Inuit in Canada, as well as a deal with the Toronto Humane Society, and also one with the Canadian Chinese Youth Athletic Association. So should be proud of yourself for being able to pick those up.
Yeah, it was a great experience kind of going home. Obviously, I'm not allowed to do NIL around here in America. So kind of being able to go home to Canada over the summer and over some breaks and kind of help support my community a little bit was a great thing.
That's great. Well, he is Zach Edey, the pride of Toronto and the star center for the Purdue Boilermakers men's team. On Tuesday, November 8th, he opens his junior season at home in historic Mackey Arena against Milwaukee on the Big Ten Network, if you get it. And on Thanksgiving night, well, at least Thanksgiving in the United States, he takes on West Virginia on ESPN2 in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament in Portland, Oregon. Zach, really great meeting you. You're a thoughtful man. I've watched you many times. You're a great player. And thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, after a short break, we'll tell you an amazing story about two sisters on the Small Town Spotlight segment here on Mick and T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews. It's time for another edition of Small Town Spotlight here on Mick and T Sports Report. Our show airs on Monday and Friday nights at 8 p.m. Atlantic time and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. anywhere in the world at CHCO.TV. Regionally on channel 26 if you're watching over-the-air television and on various cable systems throughout Canada. And if you miss any of those airings, you can check out the show 24/7 on CHCO's YouTube channel. For this edition of Small Town Spotlight, we head to the province of Ontario, but with a twist. Niagara Falls is by no means a small town with a population of 88,000, but it is the current home of Ashleigh Brown, whose sister Laurinda Collado lives in Windsor, Connecticut. And what makes them so unique? There are, after all, many families that have a sister living in Canada and another in the United States. Well, without giving away any more details, Small Town Spotlight is proud to bring you their amazing story. Enjoy. Let's welcome in Ashleigh Brown of Niagara Falls, Ontario, and Laurinda Collado of Windsor, Connecticut. Thank you both for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Now, both of you were born in the Dominican Republic. Laurinda, you were adopted at 5 months old and raised in Bristol, Connecticut, home of ESPN.
Yes.
While Ashleigh was adopted at 6 weeks old and grew up in Barbados before later moving to Niagara Falls, Canada. So Laurinda, we'll start with you. How old were you when you first found out that you even had a sister? And at that time, were there even ways to try and find out how to connect with her?
So I was 15 years old when my parents decided to tell me that I did have a younger sister. They let me know that she was born 2 years after me, and that because they already had me, they essentially had first pick to adopt Ashley as well. But at the time, I was a rambunctious 2 year old. I'm sure very much of a handful. So it was a little too much at the time for my parents to take on. But they really didn't give me any information about her, just the fact that she was born 2 years after me and also placed for adoption. But we didn't have anything to go on at that time. So it was just hopping online on different adoptee websites, writing my story, trying to use every outlet that I could think of to try and find her. In fact, I even wrote Maury and Oprah and Troy the Locator, and
Oh,
definitely took a lot of routes before DNA testing really became popular. And then I decided to take that route, and thank God I did, because that's what got us connected.
okay. Ashleigh, you were the one that saw the initiative run by the family history site, myheritage.com. And their program is called DNA Quest, which is a pro bono project aimed at reuniting adoptees with their families using a free at-home DNA test. So take us from there. How long is it before you got your results? And once you found out the results, you must be thinking like, okay, what happened? What happens now?
Well, when I first took the test, I think it takes about 12 weeks or so to actually have them process it for it to get to them and then finally get your results back. And then it kind of runs it through their program and you get matches that pop up and stuff, right? But it took me a long time. Like I didn't get a match with her for like a year. I think it was when we found each other, you know. But it honestly, I didn't know what to do until DNA came out. There wasn't really any options. Like Laurinda said, there was websites you could go on and you could write your story, you know, hey, this is where I was born, this is where I grew up, my parents' names were XYZ. You know, all the information we had to go on was really what was on our adoption paperwork and our birth certificates.
Yeah, not really a roadmap per se to say you follow steps 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 happen. Laurinda, you had actually found and met your biological family before you met Ashleigh. Unfortunately, you met her up in Canada in 2019 before COVID hit. I know this is the question that everyone loves to hit you with. What was it like when you first met, and who made the road trip to see who?
Oh goodness, it was an absolutely incredible moment. Everything I could have dreamed of and more. You have all these questions growing up, you know, do we look alike? Are our personalities similar? I know Ashley said it before, would be great friends. So finally being able to embrace the person that you have been dreaming of and wishing and hoping for so many years. I know for me, it was 17 years trying to find her. It was just a very surreal moment. And honestly, it was probably the most beautiful, genuine thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah. Now you made the road trip up there to see her.
Yes.
Okay. Did you hit her up with like some nice poutine to start off the
Actually, I was able to get some poutine this last time, so it was great.
Yeah, she had some with my daughter and went crazy over it.
Now, Ashleigh, have you had the opportunity to visit Laurinda in Connecticut yet?
No, I have not yet, unfortunately, but that is something that we hope to remedy soon.
Okay. Now, how about future family get-togethers, Ash? How is that working in terms of like who's in the country, who's in the Dominican, things like that?
Honestly, there's no one here really. I have some adopted family members here. My mother's cousins live here, but well, in Ontario, not here.
Yep.
But I pretty much moved here alone, so it's me and my daughter.
Okay. Now, how about heading back to the Dominican? Are there plans for that?
I would absolutely love to. it honestly breaks my heart that I was just so close to being able to meeting my mother and 6 months too late. And then not being able to see my father, because even though I got to create an online relationship with him, he passed away 2 years later. And being a single mom, finances aren't always easy.
Sure.
And and I also have my own adopted mother, so resides in Barbados, that I haven't seen in quite some time as well. But it is something that in my heart, I genuinely believe that hopefully one day it will happen.
Sure. Yeah. Now, either of you could feel free to answer this. Similar personalities, musical taste, anything like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Down to the comedies that we like to watch and listen to different foods, to our taste in music, even the way that we style our hair, down to our mannerisms. It's just, I can't think of any other word, but it's just wild. It's wild to finally be able to.
You sure you didn't do it like once you finally met each other, you said, well, now we better start looking like, we better dress the same. And,
No, it was actually really funny. We had walked into a convenience store in Niagara Falls, and as soon as we walked in, the gentleman behind the register just looked up at us. He said, "Oh, sisters." And I think that was one of the coolest things.
Definitely.
To finally get that recognition and be together. It was so cool.
now I'm waiting for the TV movie.
Oh, I'd love that.
I love that too. We keep saying we should write a book.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our next step is writing a book together.
Okay.
Definitely.
There's a TV movie. I could play the dorky local TV reporter that interviews you. Or
Let's do it.
Full exposure for our viewers here. I have known Laurinda since she was about 12 years old. And when she played for our Connecticut Starters AAU girls basketball club, and we're going to try to pop up a nice old school picture of her with a little bit different hairstyle.
Oh Lord.
But I hadn't seen her. I hadn't seen Laurinda in years, and then saw her post on Facebook and reached out to her. Laurinda, since we're sort of a sports show a little bit, give our viewers a quick scouting report on what you were like as a basketball player.
Oh man. I was very scrappy. I played with a lot of heart. I was always a point guard. So, played the role of the floor general and setting up, running the plays. And, I'm not too tall. I'm 5'4", but I sure did hit the boards a lot and grab myself a lot of rebounds and a good number of assists as well. So it was definitely, a highlight of my life playing for the Connecticut Starters. It gave me so much experience, was able to, get me noticed by multiple different colleges, and, just gave me lifelong memories that I'll never forget.
Yeah, I do remember you as always being scrappy, aggressive, and a good team.
That is one thing we do not have in common.
Okay, okay. Oh man. Well, they are sisters, Ashleigh Brown of Niagara Falls, Canada, and Laurinda Collado of Windsor, Connecticut. And ladies, thanks so much for being on the show and sharing your story. And if anyone would like to search for any family members, feel free to reach out to myheritage.com and investigate with some more details. Thank you both for being on the show. Amazing story.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
We are back, and look who's back. King, what were you, in the woods all month or what?
I was. I'm in mountain man mode. It's getting into hibernation period for me, so just gotta stay warm.
That is great. All right, let's go right to the shout outs. What do you have?
Yeah, I'm not going to go to a person today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pump the tires of an event that I'm working on that very close to my heart, as you as well. We're getting the Basketball by the Sea tournament back this year at SJDA, and it's going to be November 18th and 19th. Currently just finalizing the plans for what teams are coming, but it's going to be a couple really good days of ball with ourselves and 5 other boys teams coming down. I think we're going to have a pretty competitive team, and it should be a really fun event. So please mark that in your calendar, everybody. Come out and support our team and support an event that hasn't been around for a few years due to the pandemic.
It is always a fun time with games all day and all night.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for episode 45 of Mick and T's Sports Report. I'm Joe in New Haven.
And I'm Evan the Mountain Man McFarlane here in St. Andrews, New Brunswick.
Thanks to Patrick and Flo for producing and editing a show whose audience skews older than the old Lawrence Welk show. That's way before your time. But now that we've once again come to the end of the show, we'll leave you with peace, love, and Purdue basketball. Go Zach. Go Zach. This is Mick and T's Sports Report on CHCO-TV. We'll see you next time.